everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. We're going to get started for the Demystifying Digital in the Alcohol Industry. I'm Kelly Rockna. I'm Vice President of Marketing and Sales for Vine Connections. And please meet Jen Keating, my counterpart. She is our Marketing and Innovations Manager. Vine Connections is an award-winning sake and wine importer. We've been celebrating our 20th anniversary this year, and our mission really is to expand your view of the world through great sake, wine, and spirits. At Vine Connections, we've been having many conversations with distributor teams and accounts on understanding and embracing the digital world we are now in. There's a lot of opportunities it provides as well. And we've gotten so much great feedback that we wanted to really turn a lot of these insights and conversations and direction into a webinar today. So thank you for joining us. We've gotten a lot of great interest, a lot of great registrants, and we're really excited to really dig in a little bit more and give some more thoughts on where we go with Demystifying Digital. So let's dive in. Today we're going to talk a lot about purchasing and consumer trends, the evolving world of buying alcohol online, using technology to drive retail sales, and optimizing for on-premise alcohol sales. Let's first start with consumer trends. To understand technology, we first must understand consumers, how they are driving demand, and changing really how our industry works, whether we like it or not. So when I'm talking about digital, I wanted to really kind of dive into general digital trends first. And when I talk about digital, I'm really talking about living in a mobile first world. So if you think about it, mobile is really at the heart of everything we do. We text, we call, we FaceTime. We're now having all these virtual happy hours. We are watching movies on our mobile phones. We're writing our grocery lists. And of course, we're shopping online every day. Right now, the average US consumer spends about 4 hours and 18 minutes on their phone, on their smartphone every day. This is meaning non-voice. These are all the things I just mentioned, whether we're texting, whether we're shopping, whether we're using social media, we're spending about 4 hours and 18 minutes a day. Looking at internet users overall, 80% of internet users have used their mobile device to shop online. And more specifically, there's about 35% of consumers who only use their mobile device to shop online. Consumers are desiring a better e-commerce experience. The desire to shop on mobile is extremely high. We know that 1 in 3 US shoppers surveyed would like to shop on their smartphones more. 67% of users say they are more likely to purchase on a mobile-friendly site. However, 61% of consumers will leave a poorly designed site for a site that makes it much easier to purchase on mobile. We also know that consumers are shopping much faster on mobile. 70% of mobile searches lead to action within an hour. That's very different than desktop users who are doing more general shopping in comparison and taking a little bit longer to actually convert into sales. We also know that consumers give a lot of feedback and we expect higher speeds. 40% of consumers will leave a page if it takes longer than 3 seconds to load. And checkout is extremely important. 90% of consumers say that a smooth checkout experience will motivate them to buy again from the same provider. And I think that's really important for us to think about because there's opportunities for express checkout, one-click buying, things like that that can make an experience much faster. So let's dive in a little bit more to our industry and specifically alcohol e-commerce. So online alcohol sales were already growing in 2020 as projected. We knew they were growing quite strongly, but the desire is so great for alcohol options. Now we're seeing a huge increase during COVID. Obviously, there's been rules around shopping in store. Obviously, we're seeing great in-store growth for buying alcohol. But when you look at the big difference in buying alcohol online, we see that there's huge opportunity and huge growth in how consumers are wanting to buy. And think about it, right? Consumers in other categories are used to shopping online. They're not necessarily used to shopping online for alcohol, whether they knew they could legally do that or as an industry, we weren't making it as easy for them to shop. And so I think this is just a really great chart. It's week over week from Nielsen. that really shows both in-store and online sales. And you really see here in early March that once really things started to hit, there was just so much opportunity for online to continue to meet the needs. And honestly, it's here to stay. I think Wine.com has put out a lot of great information that talks about buying online and how consumers are changing their preference during COVID to buy alcohol online and what that means as we move throughout the year for buying alcohol. And so Wine.com recently released an article and mentioned a lot of great stats I wanted to highlight. So in May, they were saying that actually year over year, they were seeing sales specifically for mobile devices up 55%. In their fiscal year, they saw about $65 million in revenue from mobile devices. They had done a new customer survey, and in this new customer survey for Wine.com shoppers, before COVID, about 24% of these people said that they had shopped for wine online. Now we're seeing that people are answering about 86% of people are now shopping for wine online. And that whenever COVID ends or moves into another phase, these online behaviors are really here to stay. About 88% of shoppers will continue to shop online for wine or alcohol. And I think it's interesting as COVID really continues in 2020 and wherever, what direction it goes, we're definitely seeing some different consumer segments developing. I normally talk about consumer segments in other presentations I do around, really around, baby boomers, millennials, Gen X, Gen Z. But I think it's really important to understand kind of different consumer segments from a mindset of where we're seeing um, consumers kind of during COVID. So right now we're kind of looking at two different types of consumers. We're seeing obviously almost 40 million people are unemployed. Or obviously limiting a lot of their budget. So we have a more constrained type of consumer. Those are people that have lost their jobs or had a real change in income. And then we're seeing more of an insulated consumer. These are people that really haven't been financially impacted. And actually, they have more money to spend because these are people that aren't necessarily taking vacations. They don't necessarily have the opportunity to go to a sporting event or things where they would normally spend money. And so then you have a more of an insulated consumer. And I think it's really important as an industry to understand there are still opportunities for all of us within both of these types of consumers. It's just understanding the types of products that they desire. So to back that up, we're seeing obviously consumers are becoming more price conscious. So these two stats are one is really against retail spending, and then one is really against spending with direct to consumer. So in the past, before COVID, we saw that price spending per bottle was really a little bit higher, around $28 to $30 per bottle at retail. We're seeing now statistics that people are spending more around $22 to $24 a bottle. The number one segment at retail really is this $20 to $25 price point. When looking at DTC purchases, the average price per bottle used to be $42 before COVID. We're now seeing it around $33 um, during COVID. And so, as we see a lot of change in lifestyles and outlooks on things, we are seeing that price points really do matter to people. We're also seeing that it's not just price points and value, it's quality, right? People still want that amazing quality. And I'm proud to say that Vine Connections really meets that demand. We represent premium Argentinian and Chilean wine and Japanese sake. And there were some great stats that have been released that I like to point out. One type of stat is around from wine.com. They've seen a 468% increase in Argentinian bottle sales on wine.com. This is the past 90 days ending June 15th. A lot of people are crazy for Malbec. We have amazing producers from this country, not just Malbec, but Cab, Taranta, Semillon, very interesting red blends. And really the value and the quality really over deliver. Chile has been a great category for us. We launched a really premium, nice portfolio from Chile about 6 years ago. Wine.com is seeing that Chile has had a 381% increase in Chilean bottle sales the past 90 days. And a really great, interesting article article came out from Food and Wine last week that really has talked about how Chilean Sauvignon Blanc is the most interesting wine of the year. So for people, whether that's trade or consumers that haven't really tried Chilean wine yet, we really encourage people to explore. There's a lot of different varietals, a lot of different types of styles that are really, again, over deliver for the quality and the value. We also, on the flip side, have a very robust premium Japanese sake portfolio, and we are seeing sake just continue to do super well for us. Nielsen stats just released show that as a category overall, sake sales have increased 21%. Year to date in 2020, and Vine Connections is really greatly outpacing this industry average. Our boutique Japanese sales have been doing very, very well for us in retail and on premise, but specifically around COVID and retail. And we couldn't be happier. You know, sake is really something for people, whether it's a great alternative for someone to try something new, or people that just enjoy this type of uh, alcohol and beverage. It's low acid, it's gluten free. It pairs really beautifully with a lot of different foods, and we're seeing it does really well with takeout. And this is a great quote I just really like to include. I just came across that talks from Joe Albertson, who really talked about you have to give customers the items they want at the prices they are willing to pay and lots of tender, loving care. And I think that's really important as a trade, as we really understand consumers are really, um, really in control. They're really telling us what they want. And I think it's really time for us to understand where the opportunity is, because I think we can all really win. So let's talk about the evolving world of selling alcohol online. For me, I've always talked about, and I've presented this in the past um, at some keynote opportunities, is 5 different channels for consumers to buy alcohol online. So for us, we have the typical winery direct, the DTC, the traditional DTC, domestic winery, right? These are opportunities for consumers to get quarterly shipments. They're not necessarily picking what's in their shipment. It's a curated kind of delivery that's straight from the winery, and that's obviously been a very specific traditional model for quite some time. You obviously see such a great rise in lifestyle and wine clubs, the Winks, the Wine Awesomeness, Some Select, Bright Cellars, Blue Apron, Portal, which is our company's DTC initiative. There's a lot of great opportunities within those of really trying to understand consumers and targeting and tailoring suggestions to what they like in different types of opportunities, flavor profiles, things they like in different environments, and trying to give them um, either a curated set of wines for them to try, or different types of alcohol to try, or something that they may be just selecting themselves on their site. And then they are shipped kind of in processed and shipped over the next several days. The next segment we see is buying online, and really a shorter delivery window. The wine.coms, the Vivinos, certain Amazon tiers, they give opportunity for people to find alcohol online um, and learn more, look at user generated reviews and ratings, and then usually things are shipped pretty instantly, whether that's that day or the next day, and then shipped, and delivered over the next day or so. On demand has been obviously a big topic for our industry. The Drizzlies, the Sauceys, the Minibars of the world, Instacart, Postmates, all those types of meal delivery, restaurant delivery services. On demand is anything from 30 minutes to 2 hours to same day delivery of alcohol buying, and we're going to get into that specifically more in just a second. And then the fifth type of channel that's really something that I'm excited that our industry is embracing more is taking the in-store experience and converting that online. So a lot of retailers, whether they're grocery, whether they're chain, or whether they're independents, are really understanding how to make the most of the alcohol buying experience, whether that's how they crafted that in store, and now they're making that a better experience online. Now, there is one big problem I see. And the biggest thing I've seen, and that's really in the kind of the latter segments, whether that's on demand or retailers, is that the retail shelf isn't translating to the virtual shelf. There's a lot of great SKUs, a lot of great categories that I think, in the past as a trade, we've really gotten used to seeing all the different types of SKUs, And now we obviously have to really focus into getting more online opportunities. And we're seeing a lot of accounts that carry products aren't necessarily either choosing to carry the same products online, or maybe they don't realize that they aren't carrying the exact same products they are carrying in store. So we'll talk more about that. So, one of the biggest conversations I have with a lot of distributor reps and distributor teams is really how to embrace online sales with retailers. And I think the biggest opportunity is that we have to act like a consumer ourselves. We have to order online. We have to go through our retailers' online channels, order on desktop, order on mobile, and really understand what that experience is like for that retailer. Another thing that we've really been doing at Vine Connections, and we encourage everyone to do obviously, is analyze the SKUs sold in store and what's listed online and facilitate that conversation between really the wine buyer or alcohol buyer and making sure that you're also having conversations with the marketing team for that retailer. At Vine Connections, we found that a little over a third of our products weren't actually getting translated to online listings, and we found that a lot of it wasn't necessarily clear that the buyer and the marketing team or whoever the person is sending in daily feed to the online site was really ensuring that SKUs were maybe listed in the correct way. Were translating to SKUs that had done really well in store, but they weren't necessarily being listed online. And so we've had a lot of conversations to make sure, again, that that virtual shelf is really coming to life the way it had been coming to life in store. Obviously, as a supplier that represents many brands, we make sure constantly that our content for our brands are updated very regularly. We're constantly looking at retailers, both on our desktops and on mobile, to see that experience, to make sure content is updated, images are updated and formatted correctly, and is what we're saying compelling to that retailer and to that retailer's consumer. We're also ensuring inventory is available. We're working directly with our distributor reps and retailers to understand their inventory preferences. Obviously, some people are okay with virtual inventory. Some people, especially during COVID, could only really sell what was in stock. And so, always actively having those conversations around inventory. And then we're always providing sales and marketing strategies, whether that's correct pricing document strategies, category and consumer insights, data specifically from what's worked and what hasn't worked with that retailer in the past, and why we think something should be adjusted. Proposing marketing calendar and integration opportunities that really stem from what the retailer believes in. And we like to also showcase ideas on how to help sell cases by providing always added value ideas. The world of virtual education, tastings, and webinars have done really well for us during COVID, and we'll talk about that more in a second. And then obviously making sure the execution and more importantly the analysis really happens with efforts with retailers. The great thing about online e-commerce is that there's so much ripe data for us to learn from. We get to understand the consumers more. We get to understand what people really are searching for and buying and putting in their basket and not converting or converting into a sale. That there's so much more opportunity to understand moving forward, that I'm excited about the digital opportunities ahead. So we just wanted to highlight a really great case study from one of our key independent retailers. This is from Corner Wines in Plano, Texas. We've been doing a lot of virtual events with different retailers, different restaurants, and we've seen a lot of great pull through in not just providing interesting experiences for those accounts, consumers, but also really driving sales. And so this is an example I wanted to highlight with. Um, we've done a couple different events with Corner Wines. We did a Chilean adventure pack, and then more recently, we did a Grill Master Favorites. And so, let me just dive into that a little bit more. Corner Wines really has a devout customer following, and in the past has hosted weekly tastings and events in store. But during COVID, they were really just a little nervous on, how we should embrace in virtual tastings. Would that work? Is that kind of worth the effort? How could we make that succeed? And so, as a company, we really came to them. We proposed a format and promotional ideas and content that we created, and really helped them understand the right way to execute this. And so from there, we've seen a lot of great case sales, not just from this account, but from many accounts that we've done this with. And so the execution just around this is making sure you're getting out ahead of time to promote the event. We did some custom YouTube videos that then the account embedded in their e-newsletter that they sent out. We did some amazing food pairings and custom recipes as well. We have a resident chef on our team that is amazing at curating and crafting really great food pairings for wine and sake. And we made sure that we got that invitation out well in advance. 2 to 4 weeks is really, really important. We then made sure that we could get pre-event purchase information, whether that's making sure that they can get access to the virtual tasting, but also making sure that they could get the product ahead of time so that they could join the experience during the virtual tasting. So customers purchased before, and when they also purchased, they received a Zoom link um, and a calendar invite for when the educational tasting and pairing happened. We led this curated tasting, and then we ensured that post event purchase and follow up really happened. We helped create a digital order and recap sheet for that account, and the account sent that to consumers, gathered the orders, and we continue to see orders come in from these events. So we're really excited about this opportunity and something we've really seen really take shape and help impact our business during COVID. This is a really great quote from the CEO of Drizly. He mentioned it in a really great webinar about a month ago that I just really want to include around there's no longer a time for retailers to say that they don't have an e-commerce strategy. And I think we're all learning and we're all finding ways of what building a strategy around e-commerce really means. And I think, as a company, we're really here for people to help understand that. So I get a lot of questions around how to work with on-demand platforms. I get these questions from distributor teams. I get questions from accounts on how to partner with the Drizzlies, the Minibar, the Sauceys, or how to partner with them more. And so I just kind of wanted to kind of quickly go through this. So again, the first thing I say is understand their business. Truly understand, and we kind of actually have recaps of how these type of businesses work, and we really go through just kind of the 101 on how interacting with a Drizzly to an account and how the process works. But more importantly, again, I always say, hey, if Drizzly or Minibar or Saucy is in your area, order online and see that experience firsthand. We ultimately, as a supplier, again, always update our content and images, but there's times whether you're a distributor and you're working with different suppliers or brands, ensuring and making sure that they update those content and those images. And these platforms make it very easy to do so. They have great contacts that allow you to provide that information. But I do think it's key for people to really understand that one type of content might not work for a different type of retailer or a different type of platform based on their user interface. And so we really analyze that. We're not always just trying to say the exact same thing and provide half a page of copy and just a bottle shot. We're really trying to provide a really interesting experience for people so that they can learn more about our products. And we encourage suppliers to really understand how to make sure their content is updated based on the type of platform that they're wanting to work with. The biggest thing that I think has been helpful for people to understand is that retailers push a daily feed to Drizzly, to Minibar, to Sauce, right? These on-demand platforms. And so for example, Vine Connections, we may be partnering, and we sell a lot with, for example, Specs in Texas. But we also have to have those conversations of like, that's great that this retailer has listed our products online on Specs.com. We also need to make sure that Specs is sending our SKUs in their daily feeds to Drizzly. That is not necessarily always going to happen unless you're analyzing to understand is the daily feed that is pushed on Specs Online also the daily feed that they push to Drizzly? And if it's not, have these conversations again with the buyer and with the marketing teams. Um, in addition to that, pricing is also set by the retailer that's pushed to Drizzly. And so make sure you're having those conversations that the pricing is correct or that there's opportunity pricing that can be sent to the on demand platforms. And really, the key right now is ensuring and confirming that inventory is available. During COVID and right now, they are only allowing people to see those SKUs online on these on demand platforms if there's a certain inventory threshold. If you fall below that, they're not even going to turn on that SKU And so consumers can't even find the opportunity to find certain SKUs if you don't have inventory available at those retailers. Of course, there are marketing opportunities with these platforms. I find that a lot of distributor reps kind of skip all these steps and are saying, hey, can you just, as a supplier, put money towards these platforms? And I think the biggest thing I really make sure is yes, we can absolutely do that, but we have to make sure that the foundation is set. Again, making sure that the brands are represented with content that you can actually find the SKUs available because the daily feeds have shown correctly what SKUs are available in those regions online. The pricing's correct and the inventory is there. Once that's set, yes, we can invest in keyword search. We can invest in discount codes or coupons with these types of platforms, but we really have to make sure everything else is in place first. And then again, we have to analyze and learn from what we've tried. Some things will work great, some things are just great learning lessons and experiences, but we have to continue to analyze that to move forward. And then on premise, obviously on premise is just a different beast in a channel right now, and we really support on premise as much as we can. But we've seen a lot of opportunity as either restaurants have remained open for to go opportunities, curbside pickup, delivery, or with restaurants really starting to get back. Going now that certain states are opening back up. We've partnered with a lot of restaurants on unique ideas to how to drive alcohol sales. Again, the first thing we always tell our reps internally or with distributor reps is understand the restaurant's business by being a consumer. Order online and see what that experience is like. I will say a lot of restaurants are really kind of playing catch up on what that online experience can look like in this world we're living in. And I think it's really interesting because, if you go into a restaurant, you normally have that experience where you sit down, and the first thing that the wait staff may say to you is, what would you like to drink? You know, that is always presented first. When you're looking at on premise experiences right now from an online e commerce perspective, 99.9% of the time, alcohol is always listed either on the back page. People have just uploaded their menu, scanned it, and uploaded it. And you see alcohol as like the very last experience as you scroll down. Or, people may have tried to customize a little bit more of an online experience with providing alcohol details, but it's just endless options, no direction. It's a little bit harder to kind of navigate as a consumer. And I think that's really important for us to kind of understand as an industry how we can provide feedback on a really great customer experience. At Vine Connections, we continue to propose marketing ideas, food and alcohol, pairing sets. We've done a lot of great things with sake. Our sake and cans have done really well, as well as some of our smaller formats for sake and to go opportunities. We've also done some really cool like Malbec and meat dish pairings and things around seasonal ideas that have done really, really well for us. But we continue as a company to, again, provide strategy around recommending specific flavor profiles, specific price points, and formats that can really work in an environment like to go, and encourage everyone to really think through what that could look like for their on-premise channel. So let me just wrap up. In summary, there's been a lot of change in our industry, and it's been obviously very hard, but I'm very encouraged by the opportunity ahead of us. In the past, I think our industry has suffered a little bit from being a little bit more antiquated in terms of a digital and online experience. And in fact, now you're seeing alcohol e commerce being the fastest growing vertical there is in CPG and consumer packaged goods. And so I'm excited about what's to come. It's still going to be a little uneasy for a lot of us, but as long as we're in it together, I think we're better together. And so just reminding everyone, COVID, as much as it's been an awful experience, has really propelled e-commerce in our industry. It's here to stay, and it actually provides a lot of endless opportunities for us. I still encourage everyone to really experience it yourself. You're a consumer just as much as our target consumers in the industry, and really understanding what consumers want, whether that's the type of products, the type of price points, or the overall mobile or digital experience is important to understand. And then it's important for us to tailor the best experience to ensure that it's a really a seamless process and also a way to continue to drive repeat sales. At Vine Connections, we actually do a lot of webinars on different topics, whether they're related to our categories, category education as well as different digital and marketing education. So always encourage everyone to check out our efforts at findconnections.com/webinars. And also, we're here always as a resource, whether we work directly with you or not. As an industry, we are wanting to always be here. We are here with great consumer insights, category insights. We have a lot of great suggestions on how to build your e-commerce platform, and just general digital and media strategies as well. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at Kelly@findconnections.com. Kelly is spelled Kelley. And just wanted to thank you. Thanks so much, everyone, for your time. And if you have any questions, I'm around. Um, and if not, feel free to follow up by email.